is it the right time to scream? Not complain, not whisper, not post online, but scream. That question is at the center of what happened in Tallahassee this week. Jacksonville State Representative Angie Nixon used a bullhorn on the House floor to protest new congressional maps backed by Governor Ron DeSantis.
Major decision from the United States Supreme Court on redistricting in Louisiana is raising new questions here in Florida. State lawmakers approved their own congressional map proposed by Governor Ron DeSantis.
The Florida legislature passed a new redistricting proposal today, but will that high court ruling reshape how Florida's districts are drawn or protect it from legal challenges? News for Jack's anchor Tarek Miner's here now after speaking with an expert about all of this. Tarek?
Well, you know, state leaders say that Florida's new map is about politics and not race. But now a new Supreme Court ruling out of Louisiana could make that distinction more important than ever.
I'm so upset because I had to disrupt the House proceedings yet again because they were just trying to push through illegally drawn maps.
Local state representative Angie Nixon protests the passage of Florida's new congressional district map during the vote on the House floor minutes before it passed today. The map aims to increase Republican dominance in South and Central Florida by potentially creating a 24-4 seat advantage. The passage of Florida's map comes just hours after the Supreme Court's decision in Louisiana, which marks a shift in how states can draw congressional maps.
Since about 1983, there's been a presumption by the Department of Justice and many states that you needed to draw congressional districts based upon the minority population in a state. What the Supreme Court did is it changed that, and it said from now on, you do not have to have a strict proportionality between race and congressional districts.
Constitutional lawyer Rod Sullivan says some of Florida's maps have in the past been considered racially gerrymandered, like maps drawn by former Congresswoman Corrine Brown. Sullivan says DeSantis' map is different and instead is politically gerrymandered, making Florida's newly passed proposal harder to challenge in court.
So what will more likely happen as a result of this Louisiana ruling is that the new congressional districts that are being proposed by Governor DeSantis will be very difficult to challenge because they're not based upon race, they're based upon politics. And the Supreme Court is saying that politics is something that legislatures can consider, and that race can only be considered in very narrow circumstances.
Sullivan points out that while political balances may shift, minority representation itself may not drastically change. But in a video posted to Facebook, Nixon says the new district diminishes representation in Black, Latino, and Jewish communities, calling it a slap in the face to voters. So the decision about the maps could also spark political backlash, particularly from voters concerned about competitiveness and representation. And with Florida expected to gain more congressional seats after the 2030 census, today's decision in both Washington and Tallahassee could shape the state's political landscape for years to come. Florida is one of the final states moving ahead with mid-decade redistricting, a process pushed by the president and the White House since last year.
Why? Because Nixon says the maps are rigged and that they weaken the voting power of Black, Latina, and other communities across Florida.
Hey, y'all, it's United States Senate candidate and Florida State Representative Angie Nixon here. Y'all, I'm so upset because I had to disrupt the House proceedings yet again because they were just trying to push through illegally drawn maps that diminish representation in the Black community, that diminish representation in the Latino community, that diminish representation in the Jewish community. This is a slap in the face of voters everywhere in our state. And they're only doing it, Republicans are only doing this so that they can look out for Donald Trump and allow him to have unfettered power. I have a problem with this. That's why I'm running for United States Senate. We have to do something different. I have 5 kids, y'all, with my blended family, and I refuse to allow them to continue to live in a place where their rights are under attack and where people say that they don't matter. If you want something different, y'all, you'll do something different. I need you all to join my People Power campaign at AngieNixon.com. I need you all to donate. I'm up against a machine, a Democratic machine that wants the status quo to continue. AngieNixon.com, y'all. Let's do this. Hey, y'all, it's United States Senate candidate and Florida State Representative Angie Nixon here. Y'all, I'm so upset because I had to disrupt the House proceedings yet again because they were just trying to push through illegally drawn maps that diminish representation in the Black community, that diminish representation in the Latino community, that diminish representation in the Jewish community. This is a slap in the face of voters everywhere in our state. And they're only doing it, Republicans are only doing this so that they can look out for Donald Trump and allow him to have unfettered power. I have a problem with this. That's why I'm running for United States Senate. We have to do something different. I have 5 kids, y'all, with my blended family, and I refuse to allow them to continue to live in a place where their rights are under attack and where people say that they don't matter. If you want something different, y'all, you'll do something different.
The newly approved map could shift Florida's congressional seats from 20 Republican-leaning districts and 8 Democratic-leaning districts to 24 Republican-leaning districts and only 4 Democratic-leaning districts. That's a major political shift. Supporters say it reflects Florida's changing political landscape. Opponents say it's gerrymandering. And Nixon says silence was not an option. Her protest stopped proceedings and sparked national conversation, but it also sparked backlash. One lawmaker said the bullhorn may have caused ear damage, and now people are asking, did she go too far?
Jacksonville Democratic State Representative Angie Nixon got a formal reprimand from her colleagues this afternoon. I'm Jake Stofan.
I'm Tanika Hughes. It's for her protest on the House floor during last month's vote to pass new congressional maps.
Now, I spoke with Representative Nixon before the hearing today, and she says she has no regrets.
I believe a reprimand is both appropriate and necessary. No one should take pleasure in reprimanding a fellow member.
Those were the words of Fleming Island State Representative Sam Garrison before the House Committee on Rules and Ethics issued a formal reprimand against Jacksonville State Representative Angie Nixon. Garrison chairs that committee. The punishment resulted from Nixon's protest on the House floor last month ahead of a vote on new congressional maps. We spoke with Nixon ahead of the hearing. Do you have any regrets about the way that you went about the protest on the floor?
Jake, I don't have any regrets about what I did.
Nixon says she was blindsided by the punishment, saying she was never informed ahead of the hearing and was not offered a chance to speak during it.
They don't want us to have a say. They don't want us to use our voice. And it's just a slap in the face, and it goes against democracy.
Garrison noted in the vast majority of cases, members who violate House rules are not punished. But in this case, where the disruption caused 2 members to vote incorrectly and another to seek medical attention for hearing damage, he felt it was necessary.
I don't think members like to do this because at the end of the day, they have to operate in the same chamber as with their colleagues. So it is fairly rare.
JU political science professor Dr. Matthew Corrigan says the punishment might actually work to Nixon's advantage as she's leaving the House later this year to run for U.S. Senate.
Because Democrats want to fight right now. They want to take on Republicans.
Nixon violates House rules again. Prior to her exit from the legislature, she was warned she could face more severe consequences, ranging from a formal censure to removal from office.
Or did she do exactly what moments like this require? Because history shows us something important. Big change has rarely come quietly.
To remove their right to choose who represents them and not allow them to choose their representatives, going against what they voted on in 2010. We should have been here, not for this petty committee right now. We should have been here addressing the rising cost of property insurance. I have a woman who called my office. Her hip is broken. She's living in her car. And we have representatives who basically want to put up a dog and pony show. They disrespect us as Democrats on a daily basis, and they are not doing the business that we took an oath to do here in the state of Florida. Rep. Henson stated 4 years ago on the House floor when I first led a peaceful protest because our rights were being taken away from us, she told us that she was spat on. There were potentially dogs. They were trying to sick dogs on her. Fire hoses sprayed on her. For us to be returning to the same thing here in 2026 and for them to act like we don't have a right to say something and speak up about it, they cut Leader Driscoll off. Several other people off on the House floor when we wanted to ask questions, when we wanted to make statements, and they're repeatedly doing that. This is a slap in the face of voters. It's a slap in the face of all Floridians. It's a slap in the face of the blood of my ancestors that's running through my veins, and it is boiling right now. Come on. It is boiling. And I'm not going to sit idly by. If I had to do it over again, I would. And I probably would have a bigger pink megaphone.
Voting rights, civil rights, justice. Those fights have always made noise. The question is, what does fighting for democracy look like today? A speech, a vote, a protest, a disruption, or all of the above?
It's Florida State Representative Angie Nixon here. I wanted to let you all know that I am headed to the Florida State Capitol today because I am facing possible censure. I think it's really important to note that also no one sent me anything. No one from House leadership called me or reached out. We only got the information after it was posted online, and we're going to see if they're going to give me the opportunity to speak. The last time I heard, they were not going to do that. And again, it's just another way in which they want to silence the voice of representatives that are not in agreement with them violating the Constitution, representatives that are not in agreement with them basically silencing the will of the voters. We should be spending our time doing other stuff, like actually addressing the rising cost to just be alive here in the state of Florida. The fact that they could actually cut the gas tax for Floridians, but no, they want to reprimand and censure me, possibly, for speaking out on behalf of you all, not just the voters, but Floridians. So we will let you know. We will update you all later today on what's happening. United States Senate candidate and Florida State Representative Angie Nixon here. Earlier today, I was formally reprimanded in the Ethics and Rules Committee in the Florida House because I disrupted proceedings that were unconstitutionally and illegally drawing maps that gerrymandered in such a way that caused some folks to lose their representation. Folks are asking me what I would do, whether I would do it again. And I would say, when it comes to speaking up for people and making sure that they have access to vote for who they want to vote for and their voting rights, I would absolutely do it again. But this time I would do it with a brighter pink and bigger megaphone. Look, y'all, we're boldly being attacked, and this moment calls for bold leadership. Donate at angienixon.com. Send me to Washington, D.C. so that we can change the trajectory of our country.
Whether you agree with Angie Nixon or not, one thing is clear. Florida's political future is being shaped right now, and voters should be paying attention because maps may look like lines on paper, but those lines shape power, and power shapes people's lives. What do you think? Was Angie Nixon standing up for the people, or did her protest cross the line? Let us know in the comments.